Hey everyone, I'm Lynette Schaefer, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to incorporate EiKO's network lighting controls into just about any project you might be working on. Now, I realize many people run the other direction when it comes to lighting controls, but EiKO and their products make it super easy to incorporate controls. And the reason for this is because many of our products today are controls ready. And that means the fixture can easily accept standalone or network lighting controls without the need of any wiring. You can either twist lock the solution on to the fixture. You may be able to screw in the control solution onto the fixture, or the latest and greatest, which is going to be launched around June, July 2023, is this snap in feature, which allows you to easily snap in the control solution. It's quick. It's easy, it's simple. All three of these are very simple and easy. And that is what we really want to make controls all about. So this is a quick snapshot of those fixtures that are controls ready and can easily accommodate EiKO's network lighting controls. Now, I realize some of these products have not been launched yet, as I mentioned previously, but they will be very soon. If you have any projects that you need a quote on, please feel free to reach out to any of our regional managers. They can help you with that today. Now, of course, with EiKO's network lighting controls, they can also be installed into fixtures that are not controls ready. So currently we can add our network lighting control solution onto our volumetric 2x2 and 2x4, as well as the STR. That's done through our fixture modification program. You'll learn a little bit later in this video how you go about doing that. For the VTS, the LLW, the WPS, the STRR, and the WPA, we actually can utilize the 1/2-inch knockout on those fixtures, and that can accommodate network lighting controls. Just know the fixture does require 0 to 10 volt, dim to off, 12 to 24 volt aux, and a minimum of 60 milliamp rating. You're going to learn about how we go about doing that here a little bit later. And if you want to do room or circuit level, you can use our network lighting controls with any 0 to 10 volt dimming fixture. That's right, any 0 to 10 volt dimming fixture. And I'll show you that in a little bit as well. So what parts and pieces are required to make this whole thing work? Well, first you need a fixture controller with or without sensor. If you need occupancy or vacancy sensing or daylight harvesting, then of course you're going to need the sensor. By the way, this sensor can be disabled. So any of these three bottom ones can act as just a fixture controller because you can disable the sensor if you want to. The top two, however, do not have any sensors. It is strictly just a fixture controller. Now, if you want, you can also incorporate controllers. The top three controllers here are all the wall controllers. We call them wall controllers because they fit into a single gang electrical box using 120 to 277 volt line voltage. Now, these do not get wired into the circuit. They just need power. They are not there to control the circuit. That's why we're not referring to these as a switch. They are truly a controller, and these at the very top, these first three need just power. So the first one here is a rocker with on-off dimming. Another one has a built-in PIR sensor that also has on-off and dimming. And this sensor can be programmed for either occupancy or vacancy. You do that through the free iOS app. And then the third one down is the 4-button wall controller with the ability to assign scenes. Again, all three of those fit directly into a standard single gang electrical box. They are not wired into the circuit like a typical light switch. They just need power. The bottom two are our wireless controllers, and we call them wireless controllers because they do not need any power whatsoever. They actually use kinetic energy, so no wiring is required. This is ideal for classrooms or conference rooms or outdoor applications where you need maybe a portable control device, or you just don't want to walk to the controller, say on a wall, to control the fixtures. Now, of course, these bottom two, you can attach them to the wall. They're not going to fit into a single gang box like the first three listed, but you can certainly attach them to the wall or to some other place if you want to. That's completely up to you. Now, we also have two adapters that can be used to convert fixtures to a Z10 receptacle. The top one is a screw-in adapter to convert screw-in ports to a Z10 receptacle. The second one is a Z10 stem and swivel mount, and that installs using the fixture's 1/2-inch knockout, specifically an NPS. It actually has an NPS knockout. Now, there are two range extender options. All right, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a second, but both of these are used to boost the communication range from device to device. Now, the range extender can help boost the communication range up to 800 feet. There's also an optional range extender with timekeeper, which has a 24-hour built-in battery backup. And I'll explain that just in a little bit further in just a bit. So now let's take you through some scenarios based on the different types of installation methods. So the first one we have is the Z10 twist lock example. So step one, you want to choose your fixture. Now this can be any fixture with a Z10 receptacle, such as our LLHE, our VERT, our SIG, our SCS. Step two, you would choose your fixture controller. There are two options, option A, and then I'll show you in a minute, option B. First of all, option A is just a fixture controller, and you would have one of these for each fixture. And of course, that would attach via the Z10 twist lock receptacle. Then through the app, you can set the fixture's high and low end trim. You can create zones and groups. You can also have individual fixture addressability. And although it's not shown here, you do have some limited personal control via the app. And you also have some limited, what we refer to as in-node scheduling. Now I say limited because if power is lost, the fixtures are unable to keep time. And then of course, when the power is restored, they won't know what time it is until you connect all the devices back through the iOS and update the time. We have a fix for that. Hang tight for just a second. I'll show you what that is. Option B is a fixture controller with a sensor all built into one unit. So this is a fixture controller plus a sensor. This, of course, will also give you high or low end trim, zoning, individual fixture addressability. You also get daylight harvesting and occupancy or vacancy. Now the daylight harvesting, the occupancy, and the vacancy is all programmed using the app. Step three, you choose your accessories. Now for indoor applications and when you're using typically option A, one range extender per group or zone is usually recommended because it helps boost the signal up to 800 feet. You'll notice in the fine print here for option A, the communication range from device to device is only about 65 feet. So you can imagine if those things are mounted on really tall poles, you might need that range extender to help boost that signal. Now, you may also choose to use a range extender with timekeeper, which doesn't only boost the signal, but because it has a 24-hour battery backup, you also have more reliable scheduling. So as I mentioned, if you're just using the fixture controller or just the fixture controller with sensor, it has very limited scheduling, mainly because it does not have the ability to keep time. If you go with the range extender with timekeeper, it does have that 24-hour battery backup. So that gives you a little bit of more reliable scheduling. Now, there are 5 different controllers that can be incorporated if you want, but it's not necessary. This will provide scenes, personal control, and continuous dimming. Again, you can choose which one you want, or you don't have to use any of them. It completely is just dependent upon what the scenario is and what you're using it for. So let's take an athletic field, for instance. Now, let's say you want to use a mixture of verts and you also want to use some SIGs for whatever reason, and they want 2 zones. You will need 1 fixture controller per zone. In this case, we're using the Z10 fixture controller. They want to control these using a wireless controller, either 2 or 4 scenes. So you see here, you've got 1 wireless controller per zone. We decided not to go with a wall controller because this is an outdoor application. The wireless controller, again, can be mounted anywhere. It can be, flexible as far as rotating around the area and traveling around the space. Of course, if you're going to keep it in an outdoor area, you're probably going to want to put it into some sort of NEMA waterproof type box of some sort so that it doesn't get wet. Now, since these are most likely mounted up on really tall poles, you probably would also want to include a range extender. And because in this scenario, they also want to do some scheduling, they decided to go with the range extender with the time clock. So again, they need 1 of these per zone. And of course, that does need power. So the range extender needs power. The wireless controller does not, because again, it runs all off of kinetic energy. Maybe you have a parking garage using the SCS fixture and you just need some sensing. All right, so if you want that, you will need a Z10 fixture controller with sensor in this case on each fixture. Then you use the app to set your groups, your zones, your high and low end trim, you program the sensor, and you're done. All right, so that's an example of a parking garage. So now let's move into a screw-in example. Again, you choose your fixture. Now, most of these you see here may not be quite launched yet, but they will be in early or later first quarter, early second quarter. They all have a screw-in port. So for that reason, you will need to add the screw-in Z10 adapter. which converts the screw-in port to a twist lock. And now you can choose either the fixture controller or fixture controller with sensor. And then of course you choose your optional accessories, just like we did in the first example. So here's an example of this. Let's say you have a warehouse and you want to use the brand new LH1 linear high bay that happens to have a screw-in port. You would purchase a fixture, you would then purchase an adapter for each of the fixtures, and you would also purchase a wireless fixture controller with sensor for each one of those fixtures. Everything easily attaches to the fixture. Then you just use the free software to set your zones and do some additional programming. All very simple, easy in the field installation. Now for snap-in products, which will be available a little later, mid-year 2023, it uses a snap-in fixture controller with sensor, looks like this guy right here. And this provides low or high end trim, zoning, individual fixture addressability. However, because it is a sensor, it also has daylight harvesting, occupancy or vacancy. And again, you set those through the free iOS app. And then again, you choose your accessories. And again, in most cases, a range extender is not necessary for interior applications because you don't really have to boost that signal nearly as far. But if you do want to do, some sort of scheduling and you want to have that battery backup for the timekeeper, you will want to do a range extender with timekeeper for each one of those zones if necessary. Now, controllers are optional based on whether your customer wants any personal control or not. Now, the same sensor is currently being used to add network lighting controls onto our current VOLR and also specifically our 2x2 and 2x4. Let me make sure I'm clear on that. And then also on our STR fixture through our fixture modification program. So if you have an immediate need for network lighting controls for these fixtures, all you have to do is add LFD to the suffix of the current product part number. Then, of course, you add whatever other accessories are required for the project. And you're done. So here we have an open cubicle example. Let's say you want fixtures. Let's say you have, you want to divide these little cubicles out into individual personal control, right? So in this case, you've got two zones now, and you have 4 fixtures. You purchase the VOLR with LFD added to the end of the part number, and through our fixture modification, we will add the sensor. Then you purchase whatever controller you need, 1 per zone. Use the app to create your zones and set the sensor. And again, you can disable the sensor if you want to. And now you have personal control in an open cubicle environment. Again, no special wiring required. It doesn't matter what the existing circuits are. It's simple and it's easy. And again, no special wiring, nothing like that. All right. Now, another way to add EiKO's network lighting controls to fixtures is by using a 1/2-inch knockout located on the fixture. But understand, the fixture must have a 0 to 10 volt dim to off driver, 12 to 24 volt aux, and a minimum 60 milliamp rating. The current fixtures that work using the 1/2-inch knockout are our LLW, our VTS, our WPA, the STRR, and the WPS field set and power set version only. So once you have your fixture picked, you then purchase a 1/2-inch knockout adapter, which is the SCNA-AZ, currently available in white. This would be, of course, field installed. Then you choose your fixture controller. And of course, you also choose your optional accessories. So very simple. And then last, we have room level or circuit level network lighting controls. Now this can work on any 0 to 10 volt dimming fixture. It doesn't have to be EiKO's, it can be anybody's 0 to 10 volt dimming fixture. So how this works is that you install the fixture controller in the field. It has an integrated 16 amp relay in conjunction with low voltage dimming wires. You can control multiple fixtures that are designated for a specific zone, and all those fixtures then through that fixture controller will perform in a coordinated manner. So they're all going to perform the same task. It also has the ability to supply 12 volt aux power to an optional sensor as well. That optional sensor could be something like this. This one here is an optional ceiling mount sensor for daylight harvesting, occupancy, and vacancy. Again, you set all that up through the free iOS app. That sensor can get powered, as I mentioned, from that fixture controller or from a nearby fixture that is equipped with 12 to 24 volt aux, or you can also bring an individual power pack to it if you choose to do so. Then, of course, just like all the other ones, you incorporate your optional accessories. So let me take you through what this actually looks like. So here we have an open office with 6 fixtures. Okay, so you've got an office with 6 fixtures. And of course, you've got your line voltage power providing power to each one of those fixtures. You then incorporate a fixture controller by bringing line voltage to that because it needs power. Okay, then out from that controller, you connect the fixture's main power. And then from there, you run 0 to 10 volt dimming wires to each of the fixtures from that fixture controller. If you want, you can incorporate the sensor I just showed you on the previous page. As I mentioned, you can get power from a nearby fixture that offers 12 to 24 volt aux, or you can also get power directly from the fixture controller as well. Now, if you want to as well, you can incorporate a wireless controller. Again, that doesn't need any power because it is wireless. Or if you choose to, you can go with a wall controller. But if you do go with a wall controller, you will need to bring line voltage to that wall controller. Now, as a side note, this fixture controller can also be placed on each fixture for individual fixture control. It does eliminate the need for those 0 to 10 volt dimming wires, but it is kind of expensive to add that because it is obviously something they have to wire up in the field. You also have to buy a fixture controller for each individual fixture. That is one way you could get individual fixture addressability, but there are other ways you can achieve that with the other examples I provided to you earlier. If you do decide to put one of these fixture controllers on each fixture, the communication range from device to device or fixture controller to fixture controller is about 100-foot communication range. Now, the last step is to either do pre-planning found at silvair.com. This is optional. You don't have to worry about putting any QR codes on products. You don't have to worry about doing any of that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about placing fixtures in the right place. This is something that is called pre-planning, and it allows you to create your project. So you can name your project, you can upload floor plans, you can begin to create your zones and your profiles. That way, when you actually go to the job site to do the final commissioning, everything's already preloaded. And at that point, it's just a matter of finding your devices and adding them to the different zones that you created. Now, if you don't want to do any pre-planning, you can do all of the commissioning at the job site. Again, this is all done through the free Silvair app using any iOS device. I usually recommend an iPad. An iPhone can be a little bit small. But once fixtures are installed, you commission, again, them through the free iOS app. And again, additional videos on commissioning, just like this video here, can be found at EiKO.com. Click on resources and then click on demand. EiKO, of course, offers standalone or network lighting control solutions, just as a reminder. Now, of course, our network lighting control solutions are a result of our partnerships with companies like Silvair and Inocean. Our network lighting solution can be easily upgraded to include a gateway, which provides detailed scheduling and energy monitoring. It can also be integrated with building management systems. And if I didn't mention this, it is also DLC approved, again, through our partnerships such as Silvair. EiKO's network lighting controls has all the basic features we talked about to be approved by DLC as a network lighting control system. But just to deep dive into this just a bit more, a fixture controller is what receives the signal from the control device. We learned that you need that. So again, if you install a fixture controller into each one of those fixtures, at that point, you get individual fixture addressability, you get zoning, the ability to set high and low end trim, and some basic limited in-node scheduling. And again, that is all done through the free iOS app. If you decide you want to start incorporating a wall controller or a wireless controller, that now opens the door to personal control. You get scenes and you also get continuous dimming off of a controller. You can do this also through the iOS app, but personal control through the iOS app is not usually recommended. You can do it, but usually some sort of wall controller or wireless controller is best. And then, of course, if you incorporate a fixture controller with sensor, that opens the door to occupancy or vacancy sensing and also daylight harvesting. In addition to all those lighting control strategies, you also get enhanced cybersecurity protection with 3 layers of protection. It's an easy iOS Apple user interface. It's super easy to install, as I showed you, and extremely simple to commission. Our system does not require the use of hubs or gateways or other external devices. However, if you do need to boost a signal, typically for outdoor areas to achieve longer communication range, you can easily incorporate a range extender. If you need a battery backup for in-node scheduling, you can use Range Extender with Timekeeper, which provides that 24-hour battery backup. For advanced scheduling or energy monitoring, that can be accomplished through the addition of a gateway. The gateway also includes a 5-year Silver technical support package. And through our partnerships, our system also provides device monitoring, external system integration, load shedding, and plug load control. I want to thank you very much for your time today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any of our agents or regional managers. Thanks again for your time.